Welcome back, folks. We are on Fishing Planet right now, and I'm going to show you guys how to use rigs. We had a question about how to use these, and it's a very good question because they aren't very, the knowledge about these aren't really well known. So I figured I'd show you. Now, the first thing you want to think about when you're doing rigs is they are like kind of like combining your jig head and your leader. So what we're going to do here, they're for spinning setups. So what you're going to want to do is, for right now, just for the sake of the video, the Texas and Carolina rigs are basically the same. Three ways are only a little different. I'm going to show you that here in a second. But we're going to set up the Zeus just like we were going to go after Michigan pike or muskie in Michigan. So here we go. We are going to put the rig on, and then you're going to want to put a bullet sinker on it. And because this is the Fire Zeus, we're probably going to want to put a 1 ounce. We could put the 2 ounce on, and we're going to go with a offset 8 hook. So rigs only use offset hooks. That's one difference that they have. Now, the reason this is how they replace jig heads kind of is I can put this bullet spinner 2 ounce and cast a little farther on it, or put this exact setup, let's say, on my bass caster. So we'll do that really quick, but we could do it with a 1 ounce, or for example, let's say you had 8-aught and you wanted to go off of Arapaima, so you'd want to jump up to a 70, because they do work somewhat like a test, a leader. So you want to jump up to 70, and you could put the same setup on here, and you'd want to go with the heavy one, obviously at the Arapaima. But then you go to your soft baits here, your jig baits, and you can use them. So for example, with Arapaima, we could use maybe X Series Nymph, and on the pike, we could use something like a newt, or muskie. So that's how they work essentially. Now, the one thing I'm going to show you guys that is a little different is the three-way rigs. The three-way rigs actually almost identical, except for in reality they split off to the side. They use a different sinker. They use a drop sinker. That's literally the difference between the two. In real life they look a little different, but they use a drop sinker. And everything still works the same. As you can see, you can't put regular baits on it. You have to use these jig baits. So for example, this would be like maybe an Arapaima setup. You could use a slug probably, or a twin tail, but it's a little light, so you'd have to get a little heavier sinker. So you just got to match them up real good. Make sure you match up your test lines with these. It's pretty important. If you get something big on them, it works like a leader, so don't put a small one on, guys. And so why would you use these is the question. So if a person uses jig head stuff quite a bit, you wouldn't have to carry a bunch of the same jig heads. For example, if I go down to my jig heads, I basically, with my 8-aught hook, can only throw this with my Fire Zeus. See the lure weight, 3/4 ounce to 2.5 ounce. And I could not throw this 8-aught with this. So if I just had offset hooks and a couple different, a sinker for each pole, you could narrow it down so every pole that you use that's a spinner pole, you just have a sinker for that pole, and then you put the hook size on, and you can do it that way. Now I don't use it. I don't use rigs as often because I don't really use jig head bait a whole lot. I do like to try to use it, but so I just go with the jig head setup. But if you use it more often and across more poles, it would be smart for you to use rigs. That way you could, like I said, have an offset 8 hook, 2 different sinkers or 3 different sinkers, and run them across all your poles. So hopefully this helps explain these rigs here in Fishing Planet for you guys. Have a good one.